What's important is to understand what's inside us and what we continually need, just like those Israelites needed to control, needed to have a God they could predict. Because that's what the animal craves. That's what the animal craves about everything around him. The animal needs to control everything as much as it possibly can around itself. And that same tendency applies to the gods that he wants to follow, that he wants to believe in, to make him feel safe, secure. So there's a tendency in man to only believe what's able to be explained, and to find others who also believe, because you can find that agreement in them. And the more agreement means the more viable it is to the animals. And they apply that to this Jesus God, but they don't see the whole picture. They don't remember, and they don't ever even see that Jesus never had the agreement of the animals. That's what marked him out as valuable to God, because he only found his agreement with that voice that was speaking to him, because he saw the continuity. He understood that continuity about himself. And everywhere he looked, he saw the same thing. There's no way I could be the Messiah. The only thing that told him he was the son of David, the son of God, the Messiah, the great prophet who was to come. The only thing that told him that was the Word that lived inside him, the voice of the Father, telling him, speaking to him. Same as Abraham, same as Noah, same as Moses. The stories are there to explain. They heard something. It seemed impossible for that thing to be real. But there was a genuineness in it that convinced them. And that's the story of the Son. It's a story of all of those. It convinced them. And they believed that what seemed impossible was actually true and real. They believed the real meaning of belief. Not believing that the Jesus God is better than all the other gods. That is the made-up definition of belief. That is the animal version of belief. It applies to all man-made religions. You believe that your God is better than all the other gods. Doesn't say anything. And it certainly doesn't align with the stories about those who believed, Abraham and Noah, who believed that what he heard God telling him about this rain, which didn't exist in his time, could actually be true. But he believed it. Same thing about Abraham. He believed this voice that's telling him, that was telling him there's only one God and I'm the one, was true. And it's significant because in the world of man, where Abraham lived, there was no such thing as one God. There were only many gods. And in the world where Noah lived, there was no such thing as rain. Yet, it was what was going to wipe them out. So God could start over. And in the world where Jesus lived, he heard the same voice. The same unseen God telling him, you're the one. You are the one everyone's waiting for. And he had to be convinced, and the story is reflecting his being convinced. The stories, the words that were preserved, tell the same story. There was no such thing as a Messiah who looked like Jesus looked. No way. No possible way. It was even hard for those who were close to him, who saw him do miracles, to believe he was the one. That's why as soon as he heard Peter say, "We believe you are the one," that's when he told them what he was really going to do. That's exactly the time that he said, "Okay, you finally believe. I believe that you believe. Now I'm going to tell you my fate. Now I'm going to tell you what's going to happen." Until then, he didn't tell them. As soon as Peter said that, he knew it was the time to tell them that he wasn't going to be what they wanted him to be. So, really believing is important. Believing that that voice you hear inside yourself not all the details about what that voice might be saying, but that that voice is the genuine thing. That's what's important. Because there is no other genuine thing in the world of man. All men just make up what they claim is genuine. And their institutions exist not on any genuine power from God, but on the agreement of man. If men didn't agree that their institution was correct, it would dissolve and fizzle into nothing. The agreement of man doesn't have any power. That's what the very words say. These words. The agreement of man means nothing. The agreement of man is what's wrong. It's the first thing that's really said about man. The conspiracy of their agreement. To say we're good enough to have this thing that looks good. God wants us to have this good thing because we're good. And He loves us. He said He loved us. So we should have this thing. They agreed with that voice that was telling them they should have it. And the Israelites agreed that they should have a God they could see, and a leader they could see, that they could control. Because that's what was really in them. That's what is in us.